What's up, everybody? Broke Rad with you again, and today I'm going to show you how to do an oil change in these Seadoo jet skis. So the next thing we're going to do on these guys is an oil change. If you go to your manual, you can see on page 82, it starts how we are going to have to take off this entire top piece of both skis to access the engine and then do the oil change. We're going to lubricate the engine as well. So we're going to walk you through how to do all that. Okay, so the first thing we need to do to take this top off is you remove this panel here. And then you've got two wiring harnesses right here that need to be disconnected. So you can see that there's this red piece here that is basically the lock, and I can't just push it out. So the trick is to go in with a flathead screwdriver and you gently go under it, and then that pops right out. You can do that on both of these. Okay, so the trick to get these undone once you have them unlocked is to keep using that screwdriver, and you can see there's this little tab inside of there. So same thing, you need to get under it and push it up so that you can pull this apart. And it's helpful to have two people to do this. You can do it yourself, as you just saw, but it's easier with two people. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is start taking apart the steering cable. So again, we're gonna pop this out on both sides. Take your safety kit out so you have some room to work. And if we look in here, you have two bolts, one here, one here. We're gonna use a ratchet to take it off. You can see it's got this star bit. So I use this short setup for the top one, and then I put in like a 2 or 3 inch extender for that bottom one. So yeah, we're gonna start with just these two screws. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is disconnect the steering cable itself. So move your handlebars to the left, it gives you a little bit more access. There's a bolt up top and a nut on the bottom. They're both 10 millimeter. So what I use, you can look up here, Ryan, is I use a 10 millimeter wrench on the bottom and a 10 millimeter socket up top. And just be careful to not drop the bolt when you're doing this. And then this should just come right out. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off these back little plastic covers, one on each side. And then you just push them to the side like that. You can see the grooves. And these come right off. Then you're gonna take off your seat. Set that aside, and you can see by the gas cap, we have 3 more bolts. Take those out as well. Okay, so now we're gonna take the top off of this guy. It's easy if you just, this thing just pops right off. Get that out of the way. So up front, we have 5 bolts that need to be removed. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can use a drill for this one, and this one. But then you'll probably need a ratchet or a drill with a long extension to do these two. Okay, so for the back, we have 6 self-tapping screws. 1, 2, 3, and then on the other side, 1, 2, 3, and you can use a drill for all 6 of these. All right, so the last part before we take this top off is you have 5 more bolts on each side, so 10 in total, and they look like this. So what we do is we take a 10 millimeter ratchet, put it on the bottom, and then you can just use the drill up top, and that's how we are disassembling those. Again, 5 on each side, and then we can pop the top off. All right, so right now is also an easy time to top off your coolant if you need. There's a line right here, that's the cold level, so like when the engine's not warm. You can see it's low on this one. On the far one, it's really low. For this, we actually use the XPS coolant. It's important to not mix 2 different coolants together because they can react and degrade your system. Also for these jet skis, if you live in a cold climate, you should completely replace it every 5 years or every 200 hours. But since we just live in Texas, we're just gonna top it off to the line on both of these. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is our annual oil change. So you should do this either once a year or once every 100 hours, depends which comes first. And what you do with these guys is you gotta take the dipstick out, okay? And then you have to have one of these hand pumps, and you're gonna feed the tube all the way down there into the bottom of the engine where the oil's sitting. And then you should hold on to your old oil from the previous year and fill these up with your engine oil. And these run on 5W40. XPS does make a specific oil for this, but you can definitely get away with just full synthetic 5W40. So we're gonna go ahead and pump that out. So as you can see, we've got the tube all the way down the engine, and as we pump, it pulls the oil out and puts it into our old oil container down there. And it should be about 2 quarts of oil, just so you know. Okay, so we're going to do the oil filter now. And this is the oil filter cap. You can see it's got 3 bolts. These are 1/4-inch bolts. And we've also put a paper towel here to catch up any loose oil. And found that it's better to use this really long extension if you have it, because when you put it on, it's above the engine, so it's easy to just rotate. Okay, so the filter should come out with the cap all in one piece. And again, this is going to be messy, so it's good to have a paper towel handy. You can let that drain. Okay, so once you get it out, the cap you can open up separately, and that's the filter. And then the O-ring goes right here. You want to put a new one of these on every time. So we'll get a new oil filter, new O-ring, put it on this. Okay, so your cap's going to be really oily, of course, after you do this. A good way to clean it is to actually just use some brake parts cleaner and a paper towel. Just spray it on both sides. And this will come out very dry and very clean. It's much easier to work with after that. Okay. All right, so to reassemble this filter, one, remove your old oil with the pump, and then you can go in there with a paper towel and clean that out. For your O-ring, you can take a tiny bit of the old oil or new oil, just a little bit, and lubricate that O-ring. And then that O-ring is just going to go on the outside of your cap, just like that. And then your new oil filter, the side that's all metal, should fit into this cap very snugly. And again, that's so that when you're taking it out, it comes out as one assembly. And then once everything's clean, you can put it back in and bolt it back down. So same trick as before, you're probably gonna spill a little. Get your brake parts cleaner, spray this down a little bit, come in here, wipe off all that excess oil so it's not in your engine or accumulating, and you're good to go with that oil filter. Okay, so then it's time to fill up the engine back with oil. You can see we're using full synthetic 5W40. Again, there is an XPS rated oil, but this is fine and it's a lot cheaper. And right where that dipstick went, we're gonna put 2 quarts of these. So we just bought 2, and yeah, just take your time and fill it back up. All right, when you put your 2 quarts in, be sure to put your dipstick back. Just goes in there and then it'll lock in. Same thing, brake parts cleaner if you need to. There's a little oil here. Clean that up. And then an important thing to do with when your engine's exposed is take something like this, which is an anti-corrosion spray, and everything that's metal, just spray it, wipe it down, and that'll help keeping it from corroding over time. All right, so once everything's done on the insides, you're gonna put your top back on. The tricky part is making sure that you can thread your steering cable back through this little hole. And then what we're gonna start is the reverse of what we did earlier. Take these guys, there should be, again, 5 on each side. Put those on. Again, we're gonna use a drill for the top and a 10mm socket for the bottom. Okay, once you have the sides done, you can do the back. Again, there's 1, 2, 3 bolts on each side. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, we can just come in here with our drill and very gently just replace these. All right, once you're done with the back, we can move to the front. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more of these bolts that need to go in. Okay, once you have the front done, you can put this panel back on. Just pops in right there. You can fasten it. Next thing to do is the gas cap. Again, we just have 3 bolts there that you need to tighten down. Okay, front's done, gas cap's done. Now I have these 2 little plastic pieces that we need to slide back on into place. Just like that, 1 bolt each. Drill those in, and you're done with the main body after that. Okay, with everything done, you can put your seat back on, slide it up till it clicks. Now we're gonna do the steering cable. So in here, again, you wanna turn your handlebar all the way to the left, and you can see this is your steering cable. You can push it in and pull it out so it gives you some play, and it needs to go in the middle of this plastic piece. So once it's in there, we need to, if you remember, bolt it down with this. So this is the orientation. Again, the top and the bottom are both 10mm, so I use a wrench and a ratchet to do this. All right, the last 2 bolts you need go here and here. They hold that cable in place. And this part you'll need a ratchet to get into, but yes, those are the last 2 bolts you need to do. Okay, so now put your SOS canister back in just like this. Fits right there. The panel that goes on this side says SOS. You just follow the grooves. Put these grooves into their spots. Oops. Give that a pop, and just do the same thing on the other side. And then the last thing that we need to do is reconnect your wiring harnesses. So, pretty self-explanatory. Put them back together till it clicks, and then lock them with that red lock. This one too. Oops. Put them together till it clicks, lock them with that red lock, and then you'll cover this up, and that is how you winterize the jet ski.